iMANI Radio UG is brought to you by my Beautifier Community Youth Uganda, presented by Pastor Jamesboy, iMANI. Mr Jeff Ayela, you are welcome to iMANI Radio UG. Kindly introduce yourself and what you do.
Just like you introduced me, I'm Ayela Geoffrey. For now, it's just business oriented. Yeah, I'm into the business sector. That's actually what I want to do. It's a broad thing that I actually want to do, but I'm into the business sector.
Please tell us briefly about your background. For example, place of birth, where you grew up, schools attended, education level, etc.
I'm born to a father that is from Gulu, and then a mother that is from Mbale. Then the schools, I've been to Shimoni. Shimoni was UPE by then. UPE by the time I was leaving. And from then I joined in Tindaview College. Tindaview College, like I said, I got messed up in senior 4. That is when I think I attended almost all the schools. Vienna, Mwiri. I attended Vienna, Mwiri. But my family still knows in Tindaview. My family knows in Tindaview from senior 1 to senior 6. But like I said, from senior 4 is when I got messed up. And it's when I attended the other schools that I'm going to mention, which is Mwiri, Vienna, Kaboja, Chisubi, Namnyango was a few times, because Namnyango was just in and out. After that, campus was all MOOC. All the courses, everything that I did was within MOOC.
You have a great story of overcoming addiction. What exactly were you addicted to?
The addictions that I've overcome right now. Oh my God, I don't know. Okay, let me start with the minor ones and I end with the bigger one. Because the bigger one was actually a bigger problem for me. The minor ones that actually seemed bigger, that led to my actual addiction. Because my actual addiction wasn't like alcohol. My actual addiction was a woman. But, like I said, I got to understand these things actually work hand in hand. I had just two main things, that whatever it was, if it was a spirit or a whiskey or whatever it was, as long as it was a strong, would I say liquor or something, but it needed to be a spirit that actually carried a strong percentage that would actually knock my head to do whatever I wanted to do. And then the other thing was, okay, I tried to get into coke, but that one is also a story of its own. I think that one was just too much for me because I wasn't into that. I wasn't heading in that direction. All I wanted was just to get, okay, I think my whole essence of getting high, as of what I learned, was just getting to get a woman, like a good woman. So my addictions started cutting down with time, but my addictions were, I needed a spirit. I did not do a beer. Beers were actually not helping me out. I needed a spirit. If it wasn't a spirit, then the one that was a default factor was my judge. That one, I started it right from senior 4. My senior 4, let's say, my senior 4 was in 2000 and, let's say, it was in 2005. Yeah, 2004, yeah. My senior 4 was in 2005. Yeah, it should be 2005. If I need to correct anything, I'll correct it, but I think it's 2005 right now. My 2004 was around 2005. Then that is when I got into my judge. Now the spirit thing is my O level. I wanted to do it just for the girls and all that, but when I got into this thing called me judge, it actually started as it came to Uganda. It was green in a package. It was called what? It had a name. How can I forget that name? Okay, I can't recall it right now, but it was green in package, and it was sort of like black in color, sort of like, yeah, dark, sort of black, but it was that other thick color, but not necessarily the real black. But yeah, it was, how can I forget the name? Okay, I'll get back to that if I remember the name. It was, we did that until, because me judge and this other one that has a very strong scent, and the rest that we have right now came later, but before we had only, actually it was called Kuba. The name has come back. It was Kuba, it was green in color, and inside the package it was a bit black. It was not black, but it had a dark color that was close to black, but it was what the Indians used for smoking when it came as Kuba. But now it has actually verified to different things. Actually, we have there is actually some other one that I saw right now that has a scent that actually doesn't do anything, but it's more like if you've had, let's say, a meal if you've had a meal with this Indian garlic, you would actually have the same scent, but nobody would know that you've actually taken it. So there are very many types right now, but when I started it was Kuba. Now Kuba came in when I was doing spirits, because beers didn't work out for me. So for me it was just, the bondage was around the spirits and spirits, me judge. The one of coke, I just did it for some time, but it did not work out for me, because it actually had a blackout session for the person itself. So, and for me my target was a woman, so it didn't work out for me. So I did me judge, and then I did spirits, strictly spirits, and then maybe if it was a beer, it had to be Guinness, because it was the only one that actually worked out for me. Like if I had totally no spirit, but it was definitely whiskey, spirit, and me judge. If I had a whiskey or a spirit and me judge, it was good to go for me.
If you can remember well, please briefly explain to us how you began indulging and what could have led you to it.
It was right from high school, senior 4. That was when it got it. Because before that, I did not know because I actually grew up in a family that actually knows God and all that actually went to church and all that brought us right from Sunday school. But it all started in senior 4, in my secondary. So what led me to it was just adolescence. Adolescence without control, without supervision, without anybody to to tell me, because my father was abroad, my mother was away from me, and I was living with my father's brother, who is my uncle, the one that I think he follows. So it's tricky in that essence, because there is a lot, because I would just say I just had nobody to tell me what to do. I just, like, whichever stage in life that came up, I just went with it. And like I said, peer just took control. When peer is there and there is nobody to tell you stop or sit down, it becomes a whole mess. So I would just say, as of control, and as of control, there was just nobody to tell me sit down. Peer took over, but it was just adolescence and senior 4. From senior 4, it just spiked. By the time I got to senior 6, it was at a whole level. By the time I got to campus, already nobody has been telling me what to do. The other side, it was just because you get into your own place, so it's just at a whole different level.
How was your experience at the beginning, and what made you realize that the habit had become a problem?
My experience at the beginning was just like anybody else's experiences. Everybody that goes into drugs and alcohol and whichever kind of drug they are taking, it's because of the fun and everything. But the time that you realize it's a problem, it's usually, like I said, we all have to accept and want to change. But for most of us, it's usually late. I clocked 32. I clocked 31. Yes. And I was in a house, and I looked around. There's no woman, there's no child. And the previous night, my father had been asking me that, "You man, what is up? Are you okay? Is there a problem? Is there something we need to sort out?" But you see, I'd been hiding all this down, but I had been in my addiction, and now all this comes up. Now that's my reality. For me, as me, that is when I started waking up. I'm like, okay, you know what? It's 31 years and I've been living a whole lie. Like, I have no accountability to my dad. He's played his part. Like, I have no accountability to what is going on in my life at this moment. So, as for me, it was the marriage bit. Like, when I really knew that I had to bring somebody back to my dad and account for his bringing me to this world as of his side, and then I make him happy and also start my own, because his happiness is my happiness. That's the reason why it's called marriage, because it all carries that. It's not just the person that is getting married, but it cuts across. So for me, that is when it cut. But my view would be that it is always in a transformation process. When somebody is moving from a process to from a different level to a different level, be it marriage, be it school, be it campus, be it like you could actually say, okay, I'm in bondage, but let me go try church. You've actually tried something that is different. There's always that indifference from what you're doing to what you actually wanted to become, or what you thought you would be. Now that is actually what clicks your mind, and you make that other decision that I said that comes in, that where the person actually says, you know what, no, where there is something that is not right. When the person makes that decision, that's where it starts from.
What were the general negative effects that you experienced, if you can explain in detail?
One, you don't have appetite. You lose appetite. Like, red eyes, slim, looking drowsy, and like it gets you to that point where you look like you actually need, you don't even need the NGO's help, because the NGO's help will not help you. It gets you to that point. Then the other ones that it gets you to is the person that is actually experiencing this might not see it. Let me get to the ones that are looking at him, that will see. They'll actually look at somebody that is totally useless. They'll look at somebody that, you can actually be working, and when they have meetings and everything, you're the last person they call. Maybe because maybe there is some money that you need to throw in, but you're actually not considered useful in life. Like, you're looked at as useless. It actually changes your dress code. It changes your looks. You do not do anything that makes you look like actually a person that actually wakes up in the morning to actually do something that is useful for anybody. You actually look, it gets you to look like there is no hope in you. And you see, in the physical, living along the spiritual realm, in the physical realm, we all, like I said, we all do this to get money and get fancy and get in the physical realm. So when you're actually looking like that, you're considered the other side. You're considered running in the opposite lane of all that. So you're actually considered useless. I don't know if I've used the right word, but it takes a lot from you. You can't actually get, maybe if it's under God's mercy, you cannot get a woman that is actually going to make you, because you can't be drinking and doing all that and you think you're going, okay, you never know, because God's ways are not our ways. But you actually are not somebody that somebody in this world would consider somebody that they could want to associate with. I don't know if that breaks it, because from the looks to whatever decision has to be made for you and by you, all of it is just shuttered down. You're totally, should I say, considered useless. Like, in the eyes of others, because people will not say these things. People will actually take you out because you might be earning, and they party with you, and you're buying drinks, you're drinking, you're buying beer. But these are the very people that are carrying you back home when you've peed on yourself. These are the very people that are carrying you back home to a wife that is slapping you or beating you for coming back home drunk. These are the actual people that are carrying you and you're sleeping on the veranda because your wife cannot open for you. These are the people that are carrying you back home to their place and you have no place to sleep and they leave you out, or they just drop you to sleep on the carpet and they sleep on their bed. They're like, when he wakes up, we shall try to see something. Like, you actually carried for what you have. If you don't have, then yours is even worse. If you have, then you actually stand a chance of maybe being like, they'll postpone your bondage and you'll move with it. But if you actually don't have money, it's actually worse for you. So my take from it is that it will it definitely strips everything away from you. There is nothing it leaves from you, because from where I stand right now, I don't see any woman wanting the guy that I was. Any woman that has a brain would not want who I was before. Totally.
What other reasons do you believe got you to the addiction level?
It's peer. It all goes back to who you talk to, who you walk with, who you laugh with, who you smile with. Yeah, it all goes back to that. those are the very people that are actually going to get you to an addiction that you are getting yourself into. Because if you're trying to get yourself into an addiction and you actually get to a peer that doesn't actually agree to what you'll definitely not go there. But it is all peer. It's definitely peer.
How did you finally manage to stop?
It's really a long story, but it also actually has the death of one of my brothers. That was on July 1st. That was actually around the time that I made. From March, I was actually on back and forth. I actually wanted to let go, but like I told you, these things are not actually things that are from these are not physical battles that we need to fight. These are not things that you'll wake up in the morning or wake up after 2 or 3 years and say, you know what, okay, I've had enough alcohol, I've had enough drugs, I want to stop. These are things that we cannot stop on our own. So I actually wanted to stop when I left my job on 25th March, but it took me up to the death of my brother, because he died, and he passed away on 1st July of that first lockdown, and it was in line with a kidney failure. But now the kidney failure was something that me and him had actually had very many conversations over. It's okay, just his going just made me make that decision finally. It just made me accept and say, you know what, there's something that is not right about everything that we are actually doing. Because the things that we actually have and the things that we are actually doing and the decisions that we are actually making are actually not the things that are not the things that actually give us the actual happiness that we want. These are things that give us happiness that is just temporarily. It's just a happiness that will take you a few miles, not the actual miles that you're actually going to live on earth. The miles that will just take you just to get you off a few things that you had on your mind or something. But anyway, the thing is, I made my decision on 25th March when the lockdown started, but I made my final decision when my brother passed away, based on a bit of a few things that I cannot mention. After 1st July, when I got into that month, within that month is when I actually said, you know what, because I had actually been brought through the process of finding God and everything, and knowing that actually a person that goes to steal is actually not stealing because they want. A person that goes to drink is not drinking because they want. A person that is going to rape is actually not raping because they want. A person that is defiling is not defiling because they want. Painfully, I would say right now, if I quote somebody defiling a family member, which is something that I actually do not want, I would actually let that person go tomorrow, which is something that I wouldn't have done years ago. It's something that I wouldn't have done. So after the death of my brother in 1st is when I accepted everything that I had been taught from March, and I decided to put it in play. I made that decision when I was actually in my home area, in the village, because I actually arrived late and he was already put down being on COVID, and I made that decision, and I'm going to live by that. So my conclusion would be, for somebody to make a decision, It's actually not a Beautifier case. It's actually not a family lockdown case. It's not a COVID lockdown case. It's not. This is a decision that somebody has got to make. If somebody has not made a decision, if somebody has not said, I actually want to stop, you're actually going to do all the other measures because you're actually fighting a physical battle. You're going to put that passion in all the other measures and try to get them into stopping, but it will be temporarily. After some time, the other realm, the one that we call the spiritual realm, is actually going to take over. So this has got to be a decision that this person has got to make, which is the will that God gave all of us over all those other decisions that sin or evil might try to make in our lives. This is a decision that we have to make as a person. If you make that decision, because it comes right from your heart, and that decision, the most painful thing is it always comes just like mine. Mine came when I lost somebody. I had tried to make it, but it totally failed. But I lost somebody that so my point is this decision has got to come from somebody has got to make it right from inside their heart. Once it comes from inside their heart, the rest is going to piece itself, because he is going to want to do everything to even climb over to climb over a gate, or I usually put it as a gate. Let's say I have like a gate that is let's say 5 times higher than I'm using the person that is actually looking at it. The gate is 5 times higher than you. The only way you're going to climb that gate when you have actually like 3 dogs chasing you is if you actually want to get rid of these dogs. But if you've not made that decision, you will never. But trust me, if you made that decision, you're going to find any way to tear down that height. So it's a decision that we all have to make. It's not a decision that your mother has to make for you. Just like it is written and it is said, everybody comes and goes on their own. It doesn't matter how many children you've brought on this earth, you will leave all of them behind. And you will not be answerable to any of their sins. You will not be answerable to anything that they... And you will not live with any of them. If you even left with any of them, you're not going to be answerable to whatever they did. So, as we come, as we go, we are going to answer for whatever we have. Whatever we have done as us. So, it really takes a lot. So for you to actually make that decision, I believe it only comes from the person that actually is going through this, the person that is going through all that. Because this is the decision that is only made by somebody right from heart. It doesn't matter where you take that person. This person has got to say, I want to change.
What strategies do you apply to ensure that you remain clean for a lifetime?
I just do God, the Bible. Once I do those 2, I get on my knees and just speak my heart. Because after doing God and the Bible, I have learned that it is just me giving my heart to God.
What is your advice to anyone out there who is struggling with alcohol and drug addiction?
Like I said, it all gets to that very person, because I can make a decision for this person and get this person and take them to Beautifier and put them there. I'm not saying Beautifier does not help, it helps, but this person has got to be put in that state of wanting. That is where I'm getting back to. Like, forcing somebody is a different thing, and them wanting to change is a different thing.
Thank you so much for sharing with us your testimony, Mr. Jeff Ayela. May God bless you abundantly.
Much for accepting me to give my story too, and for giving me that opportunity. As a group that is actually trying to bring people from where I was to who I am right now, it's to be sincere, telling anybody that is trying to get into that process, it's not an easy journey, but it's a journey that you can actually accomplish with the right people around you. You definitely can accomplish this.
Follow My Beautifier Community Youth Uganda on Facebook and YouTube.